Welcome, everyone, to the Halley Elise show. You often find me giggling when we begin the show because I have the best producers in the world, and the one who works with me on Thursday nights always says something funny right before I go on air. I really think that's intentional. I do. As always, I am delighted and excited to be here. I'd like to start off with talking about where we sit politically. Now, I'm not going to get into any debate. I'm not going to get into, oh my gosh, this one should won or that one won, and what do we do? Or this one won, and I'm excited. And no. I just want to share that I have seen so many people that are excited and so many people that are heartbroken. And I want to remind that we are the masters of our destiny. Now, yes, people will say to me that, you know what, you live in la la world because if we have a person in office that we like, then everything goes well. If we have a person in office we don't like, then it doesn't go well. And you have no control over that. But I disagree. We always have control over us. We have control over how we respond to anything and everything. I have a neighbor who was crying. I have a friend who is jumping for joy. You can see opposite ends of the spectrum, right? What I want to impress upon you truly is, again, you are the master of your destiny. Even in the worst of times, people have been successful. Even in the worst of times, people have gotten married and had celebrations. And even in the worst of times financially, people find a way to tap into that inner strength and have joy. Now, if you love the new office, that's great. If you don't, then focus on that inner part of yourself. And for those of you who love, try to love the people who disagree with you. And I know that's a tough one, but really and truly, we always hear about our brothers, our sisters. And it's interesting because we all think, oh, not my family. I don't want to deal with them. And yet, universally, we're all connected. Energetically, we are all connected. What one experiences, we experience on some level. We don't have to like the same things. We don't have to agree on everything, though we all function the same way. We all function by a connection with the divine. We all function with a heart. We all function because we breathe. These things truly are universal. When I say that, I'm not specifically talking about our universe. It is said that we have a multitude of universes. I remember studying with one of my mentors many years ago, Dr. John DeMartini. He's phenomenal. If you have a chance, take a look at him. And it came up about God and the universe. And he was talking about how some study has been done wherein a telescope found that at the edge of our universe, it looked as if there were big waves, almost as if you were looking upon an ocean. That's kind of interesting. It makes you realize that we as a people, when it comes to the vastness of all that exists, are just a small part. Why not make our part as joyful, as peaceful, as loving as possible? When it's all said and done, it's not who won a political race or who made things good or who made things bad. It's how did we respond? Were we in a place of contentment because we connected with ourselves and with the divine? Or were we in a place of sadness and creating havoc? You always have a choice. And I know we have a lot of callers that come from different parts of the world, and yet everybody is aware of the US and what's going on and what's been going on, what is to come. We have to work together. We don't always have to agree, as I said a moment ago. However, give some thought to what your inner power is. If you want to make change, be the impetus of that change. Literally be that change you want to be, whether it's successful, whether it's in politics, whether it's in romance. Really focus on your inner power. and actually send it out. Okay, all of that said, I believe we have Virginia on the line. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
This call
Sorry
will be
about my little,
recorded.
sorry
No,
about my
you're
little
fine.
pardon.
I'm sorry. I can barely hear you.
Yeah, we're having a little weirdness with the connection. Do you have perhaps more than one device on?
no, I don't.
Okay. I don't know what that's about. Mr. Producer, can you take a look at what's going on, please? Okay. Dave checked everything. He says everything is clear, at least on this end. So hopefully you'll be able to hear me. Do you hear me any better now?
Yes, I can. I just swapped from Android to iPhone, and it is a debacle to say the least. So that's probably what it is. It's probably just me.
Okay, not a worry. If that's the worst thing that happens, I think you can manage, right?
Right, that's for sure.
Was there a specific question you wanted to address this evening?
Um, Not really. I'm going through a career change, and obviously money's tight for everybody, but it's put a little strain on our finances. We've been trying to get a house and things like that, and kind of hitting a brick wall when it comes to the housing market as well. So, and I don't want to be that cliche um person that says money, because there's bukus of other things I could probably name. So not really, though. We're good and set, for the moment. But just anything that comes up and comes out would be great.
One of the biggest things that comes up for me with you is confidence, not really tapping into your confidence. I feel like you're a great cheerleader for the people that you love. You're not always your best cheerleader for yourself. That's something to consider. I'm actually going to suggest something funny. Think about doing some
Okay.
mirror work. Are you familiar with the term mirror work?
No, I'm not. What is that? It's like having to do
You
with your
actually
brain,
look
or?
at, well, no, you look in a mirror and you make contact directly with your eyes. And for a moment, you just stand there and acknowledge yourself in the mirror. And then you say something really wonderful about yourself, whether it's, wow, your hair came out great today, or something
Okay.
more sincere, such as, hey, you've always come out on top. Sometimes it's just been a little tougher than others. But I feel like you need to connect deeper with that inner part of yourself right now. Because to me, even though, as you said, money, it'll come, it'll go, you'll manage. I feel like there's this
Yeah.
inner turmoil. There's this inner impatience, I think is the best way to describe what I'm sensing.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that resonates. That's for sure.
All right. So stand in front of the mirror. Try to do this once a day. It doesn't matter the time of the day. And doesn't even matter if you laugh when you do it. It's the idea of taking a moment just to connect with yourself. There's something about
Okay.
our eyes that lets us recognize our genuineness, lets us recognize our connectedness to a higher power. Just take a
Okay.
moment and stand there and kind of see that, you know what? I'm an important person. I matter. My thoughts matter. And you don't have to say these words, but it's the feeling that is connected to it when you see yourself, and recognize that even if you're feeling impatient in the moment, it's just a moment. Because what comes to me is overall, you have a nice life. And I will say, as far as your house situation, you could still work on it now before the new year, but my overall sense is the springtime is going to be much better for you to make a choice and for things to fall into place. So you can push now and you can make things happen, but I feel like it's a bit of a struggle. Whereas if you can wait off, you'll find there's a lot more ease. Now, the other thing that pops up right away here for me is knees. I get specifically right knee, a little sensitivity there, and knees to me, ankles, feet, knees represent moving forward, allowing yourself to take that leap of faith. And I think that's a biggie for you. With some things, you're like, okay, sure, we can go do. For instance, if the kids were going to a ball game, you have no problem with turning everything upside down and going because you know it would be for them to make them happy. But when it comes back to you, that self-confidence. When it comes to yourself, I'm not always seeing you stepping forward. Now, as far as the work situation, September, this past September, should have been a huge moment for you. It should have been where you could have written your own ticket. And yet I feel like there was a holdback. There was this feeling of, and again, I'm going to that word confidence. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be redundant. It just keeps coming up for me. But there's that sense that you could have taken more charge this past fall, but there's something within that said, no, let's just see how things go. Keep in mind that life runs in circles, it runs in cycles, right? That said, another cycle, another greater opportunity will come. And I actually feel like it's mid January. So it could be mid to third week, but mid January feels like a great time for you when it comes to business, when it comes to work, when it comes to generating income. But here too, there's that little feeling you have to be patient. That's not one of your biggest virtues, by the way.
No, it's not. It is not, that's for sure.
That's a tough one for you. Perhaps when you look in the mirror, you start saying to yourself, I can be patient.
Yeah.
Or I'm willing to be patient because I feel like
I think that would be more accurate. I'm willing.
yes, I'm willing. Not that you've got it mastered, but you can have it mastered. You're willing. And just doing that, just even for a moment, whether it's out loud or in your head, as long as you are looking in your eyes, you are sending a message to that highest part of yourself of what that desire is. And I will say this applies to other things in your world. So, for instance, you have this wonderful, warm family, and yet there's this feeling of not always being seen, which is kind of a contradiction because you're an outgoing person. It's not like you walk into the room quietly and crawl up into a ball. You let people know you're there. If you see somebody, you're like, hi, how you doing? And yet there's something going on here where there's a disconnect. I will simply say, truly,
I don't know what
be
happened.
okay with opening your mouth.
What happened? Uh-oh. Hello?
Yes, can you hear me? Hi, are you still there? Okay, was that Elise that's calling in? Hello, Lindsay, I'm so sorry.
Yep,
Hi,
I'm
Lindsay.
sorry. I'm like
No,
muting
my
and
fault.
not. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
There's something weird with the phone on one of the sides. I don't know which
Yeah, I
end,
could
but
hear like a beeping sound. I could hear like a beep.
I'm not sure.
You kept redoing it. I have no idea.
I don't know. When they say Mercury in retrograde. However, the
Oh
producer
yeah,
just said
lovely.
that sometimes when you're on hold, you'll hear that beep sound.
And then my horoscope did say that I'd be on electronics today. That would be messing up.
There you go.
So
It's
it just kind of goes, right?
Yeah, putting your finger in the socket and going, this it's just not working.
Yeah.
Well, you're here now. Okay, I have to say something right off the bat, which is your humor. Please. Your humor often protects your feelings.
Yeah, for sure. I know that for sure.
Right. So the humor is kind of a protective mechanism, and I know you're aware of that.
But yeah, very much so.
I just want to point out to you that as important as it is at times, you have to take a moment to reflect afterwards because you have this habit of your feelings getting hurt and you try to avoid it. It's that whole like, I'm going to be positive and I'm going to move forward and I'm not going to pay attention to that. please understand that if you are feeling something, it's genuine. You don't make things up. You deeply
Right.
feel. And the fact that you deeply feel means you make yourself a great friend. You are also somebody who's very compassionate to people. If you see somebody hurting, you want to run right over and help them and take care of them. I really feel as
Yeah.
though you have to remember to take care of you. And
No,
I
I
know that.
understand that.
Okay. I know I say this often to women and gentlemen, certain gentlemen, about how we take care of other people before we take care of ourselves. But there are some individuals like
Yeah.
yourself who will
Right.
protect and not forget, but put yourself way, way in the back. This coming
Yeah, I
year,
do.
25, no more. Now it's important to stand up. And so even if you make light of something with humor, contemplate how you felt about it and go back. Try to get into the habit of going back and addressing the issue.
Yeah.
So for instance, if somebody said something that was nasty and it really hurt your feelings and you kind of play it off like, oh yeah, I guess I can be that way sometimes, ha ha ha, just to get out of
Yeah.
it, give some thought to it and then go back to the person later and say, really, I was thinking about what you said and you hurt my feelings. And I'd like you to know that I don't appreciate it, or I'd like you not to do that again. Because I feel like you have to tap into that power, especially when it comes to education and it comes to money.
Yeah,
There's two
yeah, for sure.
areas that are so important right now. And again, for 2025, you can rock it in a way that you've never done before. Though to make it happen, you have to stand in that power.
Yeah. I mean, like
Making
I said,
sense?
recently I've like cut out people from my life and put on my boundaries and things like that.
Boundaries are good, but it's bigger that you speak. After you've molded over, after you've contemplated, after you've gotten clear about how you're feeling and what you're thinking, speak. If you don't feel comfortable actually saying it, write a letter, but do
Yeah.
something that you get it out. Because what I'm sensing here is we got a whole bunch of little things going on in your system energetically that are affecting your wellness. And it's
Oh yeah,
dumb
this is
stuff.
like in my life right now.
Okay. Like there's a pain that I'm getting over here. And I'm like, that doesn't belong there. But that's stuck energy. That's emotion that's stuck.
Oh yeah, I
Back,
know it. I know
back,
it.
stomach, middle back. There's like a whole bunch of little places. There's where something feels uncomfortable in the hand and it just kind of goes. And these things are showing up because your body's trying to tell you it wants to let it go.
No, I understand that for sure. I mean, I do a lot of reading on all this stuff.
Okay. Knowing it and acting upon it, honey, I know is not always easy, but it's important. And I'm not going
Right.
to carry on about it, but I just want to be clear because it comes up so strong. And really and truly, you are in this world to make a difference. You are in this world to touch people's hearts. That doesn't mean that you have to stuff yours down.
No, I understand.
Okay. So all of that said, I'm going to go back to 2025 coming up. Well, no, I'm going to drop back to this month for a moment. Thanksgiving might be a bit funky. Do your best
Okay.
just to go. Do your best to just go. Uh huh. Just kind of like
Okay.
be present, smile, shake your head. But when you're done, again, do the contemplation thing. Go within, check out how you feel. And if need be, go ahead and write some letters.
Oh, so it's not going to be a good one.
It's not that it's going to be bad. I just get it's going to be a bit challenging. And, I think we all have where loved ones sometimes make us want to go, Thanksgiving's really not the right time to go,
Yeah,
and,
right. Yeah.
and yet you are very loved. I feel like there are moments that you don't think that you are, or you think that you are less favored. It's not true.
No,
Not at all.
I do have somebody in my life. I mean, we're at a distance, but I mean, in due time, I hope that things would work out.
Mhm. Again, speak up. This all comes back to that stuck energy. It's time to shake it loose and let it go. And if you have somebody local who does energy work, it might behoove you to make an appointment. And if you're not comfortable doing that, go online and look up healing frequencies. You can look on YouTube, for instance,
Yeah,
and, and just listen.
yeah,
Play it in the background so that you can start moving things the way that they're supposed to move. I feel like you're really good with plants. There's something about your touch with plants, with nature specifically. And it's funny because plants come up more than animals. And it
yeah.
feels
I got two cats, but I just lost the one I was really close to back in March.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Think in terms of instead of stuffing down, perhaps you go and you plant a flower for certain people, or you plant a green plant for certain feelings. Like get in the habit of doing something physical to manage your emotion. And that way
Right.
the energy is constantly moving. Now, as far as the
Yeah.
person out of town, again, you are very loved. There's like no doubt about this. But they have to get through their own stuff first, which I know that you know. Next year is going to be better.
Thank God. Thank you.
You're welcome. And keep
I
in mind
appreciate
here,
it.
it's my pleasure. If you want to speed up results and you're comfortable doing so, get yourself one of those tall candles, the ones that are in glass and they look like cylinders and they have colors. Get a pink one. And
Okay.
when you light it, think about this person. Think about the fact that they love you, you love them. Think about both of you being surrounded by love. And when I say that, I'm not talking about so much the romantic part of it, but surrounded by God's love, surrounded by the universe's love, so that you can be drawn together faster, so that things can be sped up for you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Did you have a question that you want to ask since we're talking about some of these
No,
things?
it's just a lot of confirmation for sure over a lot of things, and I think it would too because my neighbor, she lives upstairs above me, and she really doesn't know what's going on in my apartment. But like, I kind of just like vented everything out at her, and it's like then all of a sudden the phone started ringing, so I'm like, oh boy, so that's probably why I felt a lot too, because I was just kind of explaining the situation to my neighbor. What's going on?
Neighbor is good as far as a sounding board for now, but I'd be careful not to make it a habit because your neighbor sometimes talks out of school, meaning sometimes
Oh
they talk
yeah,
about things, and it's not to be
yeah.
harmful, but they just they talk.
Right. Oh yeah,
So
absolutely. No, I know. I know. I try not to let too much out ever.
what you might want to try seriously is start writing, not typing, but actually sitting and writing when something comes up. It's a great way to release the emotion, a great way to see things more clearly. It's funny how within our head things go into a myriad of directions, and sometimes we go over and over and over. It's almost like that loop that starts playing about things. When we write it down, we actually can see more clearly and we can make the choice of how we want to approach things. It just becomes easier, more clear when it's written. And some you have to keep it. If you want to do a journal, that's amazing. But if it's just a matter of handling the moment, writing. And even if you write where you can't read your own handwriting because you wrote so fast and furiously, it's still
Yeah.
good because you're releasing that emotion, releasing that energy.
Right.
Okay, the other thing here too is it's funny because I keep seeing in my mind's eye water like a pond and then it switched to a bathtub, funny enough. And the overall impression is doing a clearing for yourself in water. If you're comfortable taking a bath, I would actually put a couple of spoonfuls of sea salt in there. Now
Oh
think
yeah,
about
I
like
put sea salt in there and bath salts and all that fun stuff in there. I just need to do
because
it more often.
It purifies the system. It takes away things that are sitting that you don't need. The salt actually acts
Yeah.
as a way to clear and protect. Though, if you do this, do a cool shower afterwards if you can. Not cold, but cool. And the
Okay.
idea is that whatever was released into the water, you're completely clearing from yourself and you're releasing it down the drain.
I understand. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. The other thing, too, is think about energetic barriers. Not that you have to always protect yourself, but sometimes you are in situations where people are difficult. I mean, we all are at some points, but you have an awareness before you go in. You have a knowing, a sensitivity, a knowing. It's not so much an intuition as it is more of an awareness. And I want to just simply say, before you walk into the space, knowing that there's going to be difficulty, take a couple of breaths and envision like a clear shield in front of you, something
Yeah.
almost like a chiffon, like a soft fabric in front of you, clear though, with the idea that
Okay.
you are shielding yourself from anything unwanted. And then when you leave, think
Yeah.
about the fabric just melting it down into the earth. If you can start doing that, you will notice a huge difference in how you're interacting with others, how you're resting, and overall the clarity of your mind. Okay, my friend?
Yeah, I definitely need to stick to things for sure. For sure, for sure.
Okay.
Definitely
Thank you
do.
so much for calling. I really appreciate it. And I
Appreciate
hope you
it.
have
You really helped a lot.
thank you. Take
Thank
good
you.
care.
Have a wonderful night.
You as well, honey. Really and truly, we are magical beings. We don't see ourselves that way very often, but the truth is we are magical beings. Like the body itself, how it functions. It's always so amazing how things just are on automatic. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to turn something on. It just happens. And our minds are always filled with thoughts and ideas. We are magic. Let's use it to make magic in our life. Really take a look